All right, everyone, you know what time it is. These are 5 miniature reviews of board games. All right, everyone, welcome back to After Evenfall, a channel all about inspiring you to embark on adventures from home. My name is Bailey, and today we are going to go through 5 board games that I've played more recently and what I've thought of them. So let's get into it. So my first game was sent to me for review by Zhanguo Games, and that is Flock Together, like I said, by Zhanguo Games. This is an asymmetric co-op game where you are playing as chickens, protecting your coop from potential invading predators. So there are days and seasons in this game, and throughout it you will be leaving the coop to maybe gather food, you can come back, lay eggs. There's also a battling element involved where you're fending off invading predators, like I said earlier. And you can battle grubs, you can move, you can heal, and there's also brooding involved to revive maybe some dead characters that have already passed. Now, I know that many times people hear the word asymmetric factions and they think, and at least for me, I know sometimes I hear asymmetry and I'm like, oh, that sounds like a headache. That sounds like I'm gonna be watching like videos on how to play each faction individually. It's gonna take me forever, it's gonna be a pain. I wanna reassure you ahead of time that that is not the case with this game. Because the base gameplay of each character is the same and the only differences are the abilities throughout the game, it makes picking up a new character really simple. You don't have to allocate any sort of absurd amount of time to learning the new characters. You can really just, if you understand how to play the game, you can really just flip open a book and just dive right into it. Because this is a co-op game, there is a lot of room for group discussion and strategy, maybe determining how many hearts one person has and looking at the board and being like, oh, well, I don't have enough hearts to beat this character without dying, and I don't really want to revive myself because I can't revive myself. I don't have any eggs. You don't have any eggs. So, but you do have more hearts than I do, so maybe we'll send you off to go fight that guy. And there's a lot of discussion throughout the game of trying to determine, is it time to level up your character? Is it time to maybe go gather some more food? The weather has a lot to do with that. For instance, I like to use my gathering food actions on days when the weather, it doubles the amount of food that I can get. But that changes really quickly in the game, so maybe you can't do that very often. And moving might be a bit of a pain because that does take one action. Like I said, there's just a lot of room for group strategizing. Table talk is really almost critical in this game. And so if you're not a talker, it's probably not the game for you. But I think it's so fun because it's one of those games that really engages everyone right off the bat. You immediately have to talk to each other. Sometimes I've played games where we'll invite people over and you just sit there and kind of do your own thing the whole time and there's not really a lot of discussion or player interaction. This is not one of those games. Everyone is actively involved. You're all helping each other, and you're trying so hard as you can to beat these bad guys. I also really like that the predators that are available have the ability to level up throughout the game too. So maybe they look really easy your first round, and you think, oh no, I've got that guy. I can get him, no problem. I'll just let him sit for a minute. Well, next round he might level up, and that might mess up your entire game. And that part's really fun. It's not an easy game to win, but it's also not overly difficult. I do have another co-op game that I'm going to recommend today that's kind of harder to win. Now, one thing that I was worried about too in getting this game was the replayability of the characters. There are a limited number of characters, albeit there are a lot within this game. For most games that I've played, you'll only get like 3 or 4 characters per game. This one has quite a few that you can play. There are 11 different chickens that you can play, and then there are also 10 separate predators that you can play. What I liked a lot is the way that they formatted their predators. It never really gets boring to fight the same character a second time. Each of the characters drops loot. Each of the characters has certain weaknesses and certain advantages to playing it against it. And I found that the replayability of this game overall is really high for me, especially because I'm not a person who, like I've said before in other previous videos, if you've watched any of my channel, I am not really a person who generally likes to play games over and over again. It takes a really engaging game for me to want to do that. This was one that fell under that category of engaging game, and I could find myself playing it a lot. And like I said, the predators, there's so many of them, and there's so many options available, especially as they level up, that it's really hard to get bored of them. And the chickens are so fun. I love the little names that they have for them, and I like that as you level them up, they grow. So you start out with this little tiny chick, and then it turns into an adolescent chick, and then it turns into like an adult. They're really cute. And there's the Andrew Bosley art, always a win for me. I am such a sucker for it. I really enjoyed like the time squeeze at the end. It's really easy in this game to feel like you have all the time in the world to defeat the characters or the predators, and then you come up on like those last 3 or 4 days and realize like, oh man, I am running short on almost everything. This is going to be hard. And then that's where the strategy comes in with the group, and that is so fun. I love the little booklet idea. This is the first game that I've owned that has like little character booklets that you can flip throughout the game to level up your character that give you specific abilities. I think that element of the game is so fun. I like that it's challenging but not daunting or overwhelming. That's a really big thing for me. Sometimes with the asymmetric games, like Root is one of those ones. I love it, but it's really hard to get out to the table with new people because it is overwhelming at first. Sorry about that. Mythwind is also another one of those games that can be really difficult to introduce to new people. This is one that you can dive right on in on. It's not overly complicated. I put it at about a medium weight game. I think BGG, they have it at about 2.4, so that would put it about in the range of a medium weight game as well. It's good. It's not overly complicated, but it's good for people maybe diving a little bit deeper into the hobby. So I really enjoyed this game overall, if you didn't get that already out of everything that I've said. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I would highly recommend this game. I think it's one of my favorite ones that I've learned this year. And that is Flock Together. Okay, so my next game is one, like I said, that I've heard a lot of hype about. I've been really looking forward to playing it. I was very nervous that it would not live up to the hype. And that is Thunder Road Vendetta by Restoration Games. So in Thunder Road Vendetta, you start out with a fleet of cars 3 strong, trying to race to the end of to the finish line. In case that sounds too simple, cheating is kind of the name of the game, or not like cheating, it's more like aggression is the name of the game. Like pure, unleashed aggression, unrestricted aggression, kind of chaotic. And like I said, yeah, so aggression is the foundation of this game, okay? So if you're not an aggressive person, you don't need to keep listening. Go skip to my next tab. But if you like aggressive games, this is one for you. It is a very smirky game. It's got elements to it where it's like, didn't roll a number high enough to pass your opponent? No problem. If you end up right behind them, you can take a shot at them and knock them right off the board. Did you not get close enough to them to maybe take them off the board with your car? You have a chopper that you can utilize. You can go ahead and stick your chopper right behind it, take a shot at that car, and he's off the board if you roll the right number. Is someone maybe stuck in your way, blocking you from being able to continue on the track? No problem. Just crush them with your vehicle. Just you can stick your vehicle right on top. You roll a dice. The dice determines which car moves and what direction they move in. And if you're really lucky, your opponent's vehicle will be the one that has to move, and maybe it gets moved into like a junkyard section, and then it's completely out of the game. You're done. And if your opponents didn't pose enough of a threat, there's also hazards all around the board that might potentially ruin the game for you or win the game for you. Like an oil slick, you roll this dice that'll tell you if you can move forward, back, if there's a certain position that you need to go in. Maybe it throws you into the junkyard, maybe it throws you off the board, but most of the time I've found that when I've played it usually sends me right where I need to go. Sometimes it'll send you into a second hazard, and then you have to flip a second hazard tile, and that might just suck for you. There are mud tiles out as well that take 2 additional space movements to go across. You can get special benefits from staying on the roadway each round. It's got a lot of dice rolling, a lot of movement, and a lot of aggression in this game. It's a very mean game. But meanness is the name of the game. So if you go into it knowing that it's a really mean game, it helps a million times over when you're playing through it. This game is full of high stakes, impulsive strategy, and mass chaos. We've played it at 4 players. It is so fun, and it is so hard to not lose all your cars. I am so quick to die off in this game. And like I said, this game had a ton of hype around it. I have heard things from Dice Tower. I've heard stuff from a million other channels, I feel like, where they are like, this is the best game ever. I know this is they're running a Kickstarter for a reprint for a deluxe edition for it. And I was so nervous that it wasn't going to live up to the hype. And I can tell you right now, it 100% lives up to the hype. It is so fun. But you have to know, it's a smirky, smirky game. It's a smirky, smirky game. It was so much fun. Easily a 5-star game, easily. We have yet to play it with anyone who didn't like it or anyone who didn't want to play it again. It's so funny. If you play games with people who get easily personally offended by things that happen in a game, don't play this with them. Like this, or if you are that person that gets easily offended in a game, if someone like takes you off the board completely out of nowhere right before you were about to win, like, maybe don't play this game. Maybe set it aside. Go play something a little less mean. If you can suck up a painful loss just because the game was fun, and this is totally the game for you. It's a game that really, really breathes life into game night. Like, sometimes you'll play games that are a little mundane, a little monotone. This one is one that everyone gets involved in. Everyone gets really, like, you're kind of sitting there on your seat the whole time, like, trying not to show where you're looking. You don't want other people to go there first. Or maybe you're worried that someone will notice that they could take you right off the board right now, and you're trying to just keep that under wraps. So I love nothing more in a game, and this is probably, like I said, this is probably like the worst admission I could make. I love nothing more in a game than to be a thorn in someone else's side. Like, I live for it. Like, if I could just tick someone off the entire game, I don't know. Maybe that makes it so no one's going to want to play games against me. But I don't care if I win or lose, as long as I make someone else suffer alongside me and I then maybe take them down with me. I don't know. That's always a fun option. That probably makes me a really good person. But it gives me so much joy. It's like I said, it's like a smirky game. Like, the entire time you're kind of like, that sucks. Doesn't it suck that I just shot you off the board with my stupid car that you had no idea was going that direction? I don't know. It's a fun game. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the game is great. I love it. I've given it 5 stars. I would highly recommend it to anyone, especially if you like aggressive games, or if you just want to be annoying. Sometimes you just want to be annoying. Anyway, that is Thunder Road Vendetta. All right, so my next game is one that you have seen on my channel before. It was on my shelf of shame, and now I have moved it off of there. We have played the game, and I thought I would give you my thoughts on it, my review of it. And that is, I'm going to tell you the same thing I said on the video. I'm not going to say the name of this game because I'm going to guaranteed mispronounce it. So I'm just going to have you guys read it. I'm going to put the title on my little tabby. You guys can go from there. I just know I'm going to botch it and it's going to be so bad. So anyway, that is this game, The First Empire by Sorry We Are French. Now, to kind of swivel on you, this one, I know we were just talking about Thunder Road, and Thunder Road is a lot of chaos, a lot of hype, a lot of like rowdiness. This one is not. This is a lot of quiet calculation, a lot of strategy. This is a Euro-style game, and it is on the heavier end of Euro-style games. It is very mechanical from start to finish. It is kind of got a point salad element and a hand management element to it. It also has a majority mechanics where you're trying to have dominance in certain regions by having the most amount of influence there. This game is set in 221 BC. It is based around the theme of Emperor Huangdi was trying to unite China at the time, and in the process he introduced unified language, he introduced emissaries, and you are playing as an emissary trying to complete his vision and to try to push forward his vision and unite all of China, and in the process secure your place in the Emperor's Terracotta Army. This is based on a very revolutionary point in China's history. At the time, there were many different warring areas of China, and so his ability to unite them all, build the Great Wall, was a really big deal. And I'm really glad that they built a game around it. I think it's a very fascinating time of history to be able to learn about through games. I am a glutton for history, so I love being able to learn new details and new little facts about things throughout playing games. I think that helps so much for me to really get engaged in them. This is an updated version from the original game. There are different rules, there's different strategy involved, but there was an edition released back in 2015. This one is the 2023 edition. And I have not played the 2015 edition. I don't know what the differences are, so I'm just reviewing this game today. So there is a lot going on in this game. Your main goal is to score points, but there are so many different ways to do so. You can place sections of the Great Wall out onto the board. You can build palaces. You can place officials in certain regions to sway your influence and maybe gain you more points out of the game. You can set sail across an ocean in search of an elixir that will make it so the emperor can live forever, amongst other things. Like I said earlier, it is a heavyweight game, so there is a lot of strategy involved and a lot of thought going into every turn. I really like the way the actions are managed on each of your turns. There are numbers on each of the cards, and whatever you play down on this little sideboard sorts you into one of two categories where you can maybe build a palace or, as I pop my elbow, sorry, build a palace or take a few other actions on one side if you've played a card lower than the card that was previously there, or if you play a card that's got a higher number on it than the card that's previously been placed, then you can do a whole different set of actions on your turn. I think that part of the game is really interesting. I haven't played a game like that before where the number of the card matters so much to the rest of the game and what you're doing. I really enjoyed that portion of the game. There's also a section down in front of you with the different regions and your officials that you have in those regions and what those can do for you. You're sliding cards beneath certain areas to give you actions, and then you're also playing off of this main joint board that everyone else is involved in too. You really have to carefully manage your resource in your area and your influence in the areas around you. Like, it's a really major part of the game. I gave this game 3, maybe 3.5 stars out of 5. I think the idea of the game is really interesting. I am all in on the theme overall. Like I said earlier, I love that kind of aspect to games. However, I felt like there were some portions of the game that felt like I had added an expansion in. You could almost do without the entire Elixir Ocean section and be totally fine in the game. That felt very expansion-y. And then on the main board, there is on the bottom left section, there is a turn order determining track, and there are rewards based off of certain actions down there. That felt a little excessive to me as well. I didn't really feel like the game needed it. The main board itself is really fun to play off of, and I really liked the little board in front of you. Outside of that, I kind of almost felt like there was just a lot of extra stuff crammed in that didn't need to be crammed into the game. I don't want to make it out to be like this is a bad game, though, okay? Because it's not a bad game. It's a good game, and I think that there are people who would really enjoy it. I think that this is very much designed for a specific type of person. I am just not that person. If you like Euro-style point salad games with a lot of heavy thought pushed into them, then this would be the game for you. I really wanted to like it more than I did, but I couldn't bring myself to love it quite as much as I wanted to. So that is my opinion on this game, The First Empire. So my next game is up on a shelf. I have featured it in a video before, but I wanted to do a more in-depth review just because I found out that there were a lot of people that had never heard about it, and so I'm gonna go get that down. Y'all gotta see my big old pregnant belly. So that game is Trolls and Princesses by Game Brewer, produced by Game Brewer. Game Brewer. So speaking of Euro-style games, I know we just dove into one with that other game. But this one is a Euro-style game. I have, like I said, highlighted it before. A lot of you wanted to know more about it, so I'm going to try to do a little bit more of an in-depth review on it now. It was on my top 10 video. It is one of my all-time favorite games. I kickstarted it about a few years ago. I want to say like 2.5, 3 years ago. And I received it in the mail about a year ago. We've been playing it a little bit now. And I just really enjoy the function of the game. I really enjoy the mechanics. It, like I said, Euro-style game. It has worker movement. It was one of the very first games that I kickstarted, so it does hold a special place in my heart for that reason. So I really love the art style in this game. It kind of gives me like 1982 Ravensburger Enchanted Forest vibes, which I know is really niche, but I grew up on that game at my great-grandma's house, and so that's kind of like the vibe I get from the art. It's a very fun throwback style, and I really love that. I love the gold foil on the cover. That's always a plus for me. I do have the deluxe edition of the game. So there are things like the magnetic boxes for components. They did come with the deluxe edition. They do not come with the standard edition of the game. Screen printed meeples. Those are also part of the deluxe edition. I think in the standard edition they have either regular non-screen printed meeples or they have cardboard chip meeples that go into those little tabby slide bases. So throughout this game, you will be managing your workers across a personal board and also a group board. And as you grow your little fiefdom. Well, it's like an underground fiefdom. So your trolls can be placed in spaces that allow you to mine for maybe precious minerals that you already have on your board, hire extra workers for the village, maybe swap changelings for babies and get points from that. You can steal bells or try to influence princesses to come and live in a section of your cave that you've maybe built out designated for them. There's also stealing cows. There's a lot of like mischief to the game. There's a very mischievous element to it. I mean, you are the trolls. You are actively stealing things from the human kingdoms. And I think it's so fun to play on that side of a game. There's also a tile placement section of the game where as you're playing, you might be able to draw some additional tiles, place them out. If you match up certain sections, you'll be able to put minerals on there that you can mine out later and use to spend on other actions. Those same tiles can also give you places that you can put bells, because you will inevitably run out on your specific board of spaces to put those, because when you take them off of the big board, you put them down onto your board and take rewards from them. When you do that, they take up that space now, and maybe you don't have enough room for additional things being put on your board. So that's where the tile placement comes in. You want to put those tiles down to add additional spaces for babies and all those other things to go in. There is so much to do in this game, but the flow of the turns functions really well. There is like a day card that you flip to indicate the day and what benefits are available to the person who flipped the card for that day. There's also king troll that if it's on your board, you can kind of take additional actions on your turn. There is tons to do, but it never feels overwhelming, at least not for me. It's never felt overwhelming. It's never felt overstimulating. It's always felt just kind of jovial and fun. So if you've seen my top 10 video, you already know that this is a 5-star game for me. I've already expressed that it's one of my favorite games. My only real nitpick that I have of this game is it does play, I think it plays up to 4 players. I really think it does best at 2. If you get up into the 4-player section, the turns take a really long time and the game can feel like it drags on. I really like it as a 2-player game. I think that's really where it shines. I am really sad to say, though, that the company that produced this game, Game Brewer, has just announced that they are going out of business and they are trying to sell off their stock right now. Trolls and Princesses is on their site as of right now, it is on their site for a reduced amount. So if you do want to get your hands on a copy of this game, now would probably be the time to buy it before you have to pay scalper prices. I'm really sad about it, so I'm trying not to like dwell on it too much, because I just really enjoyed this game so much that I have a special place in my heart for this company, especially being that it was one of my first Kickstarters that I ever backed. But yeah, if you want a good deal on the game, if you're interested in Trolls and Princesses, I would suggest heading over to their site. It's just, I think, gamebrewer.com. You just search the company, and they have it for sale on there alongside a bunch of other games that they've produced. I know they have Delta and Amygdala, and I think they have there's something about, it's also a noodle, but it's a noodle dish. What's the noodle dish? Stroganoff. There's also a game called something Stroganoff. The game is not themed around noodles at all. I couldn't remember it without. Anyway, there's a game called Stroganoff, Stroganoff is in the tile that they have on there, or in the title that they have on there. So if you're interested in any of those games, I would suggest now being the time to go buy them, since they are going to be done with production here pretty soon. And then they will be closing their store after that. But that is Trolls and Princesses, and this is the Big Nose edition, and I did get deluxe magnet boxes to go with it. So if you are looking for components that are deluxeified and you were trying to find out what copy of the game that I have, maybe to search it on eBay, mine is the Big Nose edition. I don't think they have this on their website. I think that you will have to find it on eBay or on Mercari or whatever it's called if you want to find this game. And that is Trolls and Princesses. So my last game for today is a co-op game, and it is a deduction style game. It was also on my shelf of shame. I believe I put it in the same video that I put that other one that I can't remember I can't pronounce the title to. And that is Paint the Roses with lid lift, which is always my favorite thing in the whole world. But Paint the Roses is produced by North Star Game Studios, and it is a cooperative deduction game. As you play, you will be drawing these cards. On the cards, it will show you either like 2 of the same color, maybe 2 of the same shape of flower arrangement, or it might show you a different shape, different color. And your job is to draft a tile from the collective pool, place it out on the board, and then with your cubes, you indicate how many times that tile has been, your card has been fulfilled by the placement of that tile. So for instance, if I had a card that said pink, pink, I would take a pink tile, I would place it next to another pink tile. Ideally, I would place it in a spot that has maybe like 3 pink tiles adjacent to it. They are hexagon tiles, so that does make it easy to fulfill multiple times if you need to, especially at the beginning of the game. And then without saying anything, because there is no table talk in this game, if, say I had 3 pinks around it, I would take 3 of my cubes, I would place them out on that tile that I had just placed to indicate that I had fulfilled my card 3 times. Now, after this is done, there's a second phase to the game where your partners have to try to guess what your card is based off of what you've placed out in front of you, right? And based off the amount of cubes that you've placed on this tile. There do come times where you will not place tile, you will have no tile, especially like as you get further into the game, where you will have to draft a tile that just does not fulfill anything, and that is always really hard. It is a very difficult game to win, but I do love the strategy of it. I love that it's social. I like that even though it's not really talking, I like that you're directly interacting with other people the entire time, because it kind of forces you to think to yourself, like, how would this other person think? So you're kind of getting to know people without actually having to talk. It's a very interesting concept. It's super easy to grasp, very hard to win. I would say that you could play this. I think on here they tell you to play it with 11 and up. I really think you could play this with a 7 and 8-year-old. There's no reading on it. It's super easy. If you guess something correctly, if your neighbors guess something correctly, you move along on a track. If they guess it wrong, there's also, at the same time that you're moving along the track, there's the Queen of Hearts chasing after you. If you get it wrong, she moves further. And the end objective is basically that you're trying to fill out this board without the Queen of Hearts catching up to you and killing you. It's a really simple concept to grasp, fairly easy to teach, and like I said, I really think that you could play this with younger kids. I don't think that it would be too difficult for them to pick up on. What would make it more difficult is I think I have the deluxe edition to the game, so I do have the upgraded components, and there's also some asymmetry involved if you want to play certain characters. However, we've only played really the base game. I haven't added the other characters in, and as the base game stands, you could really play this with a wide variety of ages without it being boring for anyone. Because that's always something I look for in a game. I hate playing games with my kids that I am bored to tears to play. I love playing games that they can play, but also provide me a lot of strategizing and a lot of excitement out of it as well. And this is one of them. I gave this game 4 stars. Yeah, I definitely liked it. I definitely enjoyed it. I love strategy and I love deduction games, so that always is a heavy hitter for me. I didn't totally love it just because it's so difficult to win. We have played this game 6 times and I have won once. So, and that one time that we won, there was some table talk involved. So I can't speak to our win, but it is a really fun game overall and I do really enjoy it, and that is Paint the Roses. All right, so that wraps up my video for today. I hope you guys all enjoyed what you saw. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get updated when we upload new content. I also, if you are looking for any sort of really nice gaming gear, specifically like dice, or if you're interested in dice stacking, go ahead and check out the link in my description. I am an affiliate for Harbor Loot, and they have some wonderful products. I love their dice trays. I highly recommend them. The people there are so good. It is veteran owned. I hope you guys all have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you again here in the After Evenfall community.